the Twice Baked. We're the Kelly Twins. I am Bridget.
I'm Maggie.
We're on location today at L'École Culinaire in St. Louis, Missouri. You can find all of our recipes at kellytwins.com. On the menu today, clearly, chicken soup with dumplings to cure what ails you. Stay with us on Twice Baked. Here's Glenn Bargett of Missouri's Wine and Grape Advisory Board with today's spotlight on
Chambarsand. Red wine in Missouri, Chambarsand is by far the best red hybrid that we grow here. Because of our climate, we have a very difficult time growing the vinifera type grapes that they grow in California or Europe. The type of grapes we grow are hybrids. They're cross blends of hardy American varieties with the milder flavors of European varieties. Chambarsand was developed in central France about 40 years ago, very widely planted actually in Australia. The Missouri industry grabbed onto this about 10 years ago and doing a really fine job with a medium-bodied, very full-flavored dry red. This is grilled seafood dry red. This is grilled salmon or grilled tuna dry red. Mild cheeses. This is your pizza pasta dry red. Soft when it's young, ages for a couple years. It has some earthy, meaty flavors you might get in the southern part of France. It's a beautiful wine for lighter summer foods, particularly grilling on the outside.
Can you try that? I would do that. Hello, sister.
Hey, dude, what's up?
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Ready to cook some chicken?
As promised, I think we ought to do some chicken cooking.
You know what you're doing here?
I think we ought to do some chicken and dumplings. Pretty straightforward chicken soup.
Excellent.
Like Mama used to make.
Excellent.
However, we have been doing a census, and it seems there are as many ways to cook a chicken as there are people to cook it.
Indeed, as well with dumplings. But what we tried to do today is come up with the most simple common denominator.
Chicken.
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 First you put the chicken in the pot.
In the pot. Now, always, every time we talk about chicken, we talk about you cannot be too cautious with sanitation. So I prefer not to even touch it with my bare hands. And, whoa. So that way I don't have to worry about chicken on my hands, touching my knife, touching my board, any of that. Anything that touches the chicken is going to be, I'm not a chicken. No. I'm not a chicken. Okay, so chicken in the pot. We're not going to pre-saute, pre-cook anything. We're going to take some vegetables that have been peeled, and honestly, I keep this stuff peeled in the fridge. And the next soup that we're going to do, if you have a few things around that are ready and peeled and good to go, then it takes minutes to get a simple soup on the stove, and that's really what we're all about today. We're just trying to get simple meals.
Well, that's the whole idea here with the chicken and dumplings. Didn't you say it kind of has its origins, this particular style of serving chicken maybe is kind of like a...
One of the things I read in the American cookbook, one of the American cookbooks written by the Beard Award winners, the Jamesons, they write about this being something that we got from the Pennsylvania Dutch, that the housewife, if she was fortunate enough to have chickens on the farm, which in this time, in early America, it wasn't the common meat that it's become today. It was for the affluent.
Indeed. In fact, before World War II, chickens were more for the wealthy. They weren't common, and it is America's industrialization and commercialization of chicken production that has made it available, and in fact it is one of the cheapest and easiest things to serve to your family. Mm-hmm. So along that vein, we're just throwing a few vegetables in there, and you'll notice Maggie's chopping them large because this is going to cook about an hour.
Maybe less than. It'll depend on whether you're doing a 3.5-pound bird or a 4 or 5-pound bird, but you don't really see the 5-pound birds so much.
That's right.
And you want, this is I guess a fryer or a roaster. You don't really, those are pretty much the two that you see most of the time.
Honestly, yeah, when you're at the store, it's rare to find just sitting there an available 5-6 pound bird. Most times you'll see them about 4 pounds and 3 to 4 pounds.
Can I borrow your paring knife?
Most assuredly.
Should we go ahead and show how to peel an onion? Is that too insulting?
No, we would like to do that. For those who are like all over peeling onions, you can just sit on your hands for a second. We saw a movie where this girl took 5 minutes to peel an onion, and we just think that's an injustice.
I was shocked,
that needs to be corrected.
The woman that I was watching the movie with said,
What's wrong with
that?
that?
I'm like, well, There's a lot to be said for the right tools for the job. You gotta have, gotta. Do you like my English?
No.
Okay. It's great to have, if you only have a couple of knives in your kitchen, you want one that's a paring knife or a little bird's beak knife like I use a lot of times. And you want a knife that's a good size and is comfortable in your hand. This is, I guess, what, an 8-inch blade? I also use my Mambo big blade when I'm working on a much bigger board and I'm doing a lot of work. I might want a bigger blade. But if you only have 2 knives, these are good sizes to have. Keep them sharp, keep them stored well. Then when you go to peel an onion, you don't want to take the whole flat end. A lot of people take this off and then this off. Well, you've just lost close to 1/3 of your onion. So you take, which onions are cheap, but why waste it? But you take the tip end and put your thumb on the root and just roll the knife all the way around. This was a big thing when in working in kitchens and supervising just basic food prep. A lot of money can go down the drain if you have 50 pounds of carrots twice a day being peeled improperly and a lot of it wasted. 50 pounds of onions, 100 pounds of onions. And so you want to, I just like to practice, you know, good habits. Now, if I'm making a stock, some chefs like to put the skins in. I never have. It will make your stock more yellow. Certainly won't hurt it. If you're going to do that, wash the onion. This is fine for a stock. Not something you'd want to necessarily eat, but it's fine in a stock. But we are going to eat these vegetables. Some people like to strain it out. Like we said, you know, same with curry. As many people as there are to make it are different, you know, the different ways to do it. I like to leave the vegetables in. If you're going to do a dice, now we did a large chunk for this because it's going to stay in the pot, right? But if you just want a small dice, can we see this? Let me see. I'm just going to go down through there that way. Keep my fingers out of the way of the camera and the knife. And then just a cross cut. It's not fancy. It's not perfectly uniform, but it's pretty close. And it's great for sautés or something, you know, whatever you're going to do. Then when you get to this end that's kind of hard to hold on, you lay it flat. Whew. Try not to cry into your food.
They're working.
And there you go. Okay? So that is a properly diced onion.
I'm gonna step over here and cry for a second. Way to go.
Whew, I'm a big weak.
Now this is a broth, not a stock, so that's why all these extra goodies aren't going into our pot. Now this is good. We've got carrot, we've got celery, we've got onion, we've got some serious tears coming here.
Oh my gosh, I'm a big baby. All right,
But we'll get through.
now always when you're going in, whether with water or stock or broth, you want to start with cold. You don't want to start with warm or hot water. It'll give you a cloudier stock. And
Here, I'm
bring
going to
out-
get us some more water because we do want to cover that bird and the vegetables.
I'm okay with that. I really am.
You are?
Yeah, sure, why not? Whoops, the wrong one. Whoops. All right. Now, we want to bring that up to a, okay, I'm going to do this. La, la, la. I'm fine.
I'm sure. That's debatable.
Now we want to bring this up to a simmer, and once it comes up to a simmer, you're going to drop the, I'm still crying.
Oh, get
my
over it
onions.
already.
Next time you cut the onions. So you want to simmer it. Once it comes to a simmer, it's going to bring up some scum, and which is the true color. That's not my own phrase, but that is a true culinary term. And then we're going to skim it off. All
I bet
the
you
scum.
that's where the term has originated, why scum is referred to as an undesirable thing, because the scum comes up from our stock and we skim it off and throw it away.
It goes in the trash.
It is
I'll bet
not.
that's right.
I'll bet that's the origin of the word. We'll have to do the research on that. Now we
throw in a
have a
couple of-
chicken in our pot. Now
gonna
this,
throw in some
we
garlic for
promised
good
to tell them some garlic. Garlic is always welcome.
Aromatics. And it's just going to flavor and enrich the broth.
So we promised to tell them who promised a chicken in every pot.
Oh, in this country we think it was Herbert Hoover, and in this country, in fact, it was. He was paraphrasing from King Henry IV, who promised in the beginning of his reign a chicken in every pot for Sunday dinner. He did not, however, to my knowledge, promise 2 cars in every garage.
I don't think so.
So to go with our chicken and dumplings, and you know, we'll get to these herbs after we've come up to
So the
a boil.
herbs are going to go in. Now, we have dried herbs, and that's what I usually use for my stocks.
Right, right.
So
Dry herbs are for the longer cooking time.
okay, so these will go in after we skim the scum off. And then we're going to get ready over here with our dumplings. Are we ready for dumplings?
Yeah, I think so. Now, with dumplings, there's 2 camps, and I found, you know, a very minor third. Dumplings are either rolled or dropped. Go ahead and let's put it together. And
Okay, I'm going to ask you to do a little,
am I crying?
little dab will do you there. Okay, Got my friendly little mixer. This is called a brat pisker, but a spoon or a fork will do just fine. I have some half and half and some butter here, and they're warm. Okay. Now there's many different. Again, it's like our chicken, our poached chicken over here. There's many ways to make dumplings as there are people to make them.
Well, you said when you were working with Father Dom that he says any biscuit recipe.
Any biscuit dough will do. So here I have some baking powder, about a tablespoon. I have some fresh, well, actually dried thyme. I've got a little parsley and chives. You can flavor them however you like. We have some salt.
Tarragon. You might want to use tarragon, and
Whoops.
you could even add that into your. Yeah, go ahead.
So now we're just going to mix this into a nice soft dough. And when we come back, we're going to debate to
whether-
roll or to drop.
That is the big question.
We're drop schoolgirls from way back. We met one individual who likes both. You're watching Twice Baked, for which we thank you, and we'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us on Twice Baked. We are making chicken and dumplings today. A little bit of Americana cuisine going on here.
Americana.
We did a little research in some of our James Beard cookbooks and lots of cookbooks, which we do a lot of times. Even when I'm just going to the dinner table, I will do a little bit of
Quick read.
I will. I'll check
For
out a number of
refreshing
different
idea.
folks, and it's hard to go through any cookbook that's published today without some sort of reference to James Beard.
Yeah.
American cookbook. That's right.
To who?
James Beard.
Who's James Beard?
James Beard is who we call the father of American cuisine. So culinary students and chefs alike know who this person is. We'd like to tell you who he is. He did so much to
Put American cooking on the map. And in Americana, like Bridget was talking to her neighbor just last night about American cooking. He said, "Oh, you guys are doing cheeseburgers?" And while Americana,
I said, no, there's more. I mean, before the cheeseburger, there was real American cookery going on here.
and still is. And while we include the cheeseburger, and there are glorious ways to do a cheeseburger as opposed to the way it's usually done. So it does include the cheeseburger, but certainly is only the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to point out, we noticed that I was skimming and bringing off that scum that we mentioned earlier. It's at this point that we want to add in our herbs. In this case, we have parsley and chives, a little bit of thyme in there, some
A little bit of bay leaf.
Again, more of the aromatics that sort of balances out the flavor here. If you were to put this in first and then skim it out, or skim that scum off it, you're going to be bringing a lot of that out. So you want that to actually
The herbs
cook
have a tendency to hang out at the top of your liquid there.
Yeah.
So now if I'm making a stock, I don't add salt, but for this you could add salt.
I don't mind a little bit of salt in the stock, but not a lot. But yeah, here we're making a soup. We do want the salt to enhance, not gross with it, and we'll adjust at the end. Now,
So
we're
that
going to
goes
let
away.
it go. We're going to let it go probably not more than an hour for a 4-pound bird, but maybe even less. And if we're not sure, we're going to get our handy dandy meat thermometer and check through the center of the bird, through the breast meat and through the thigh, which we'll show you here in a second, to about 155 degrees, because it's going to cook a little more.
Right.
Whoa. All right. And this is what we're going to be looking for. Now, this one we started with water. And you're going to see here, can we, this one off?
That one's on.
All right.
So as Annette set ourselves on fire.
Can we see that that's nice and clear?
It's beautiful. Now this one, we didn't start with our store-bought stock
We
or
just
broth.
went with straight water on that one, yes. And part of the reason why this is nice and clear is because we didn't bring it to a full boil. We keep it at a simmer. Once you bring it up, once you've gotten the scum off and a rolling boil, you drop it pretty quickly, as soon as you see it, down to a simmer, which is like this.
Okay.
Gently breaking the surface, but not all the way over. And
Now we want to remove our bird.
Well,
because
first we
our
wanna-
bird, oh, we
in case we're not sure.
bring it out so we can show them.
Okay.
Bring that bird out and set it there because
You think of everything.
I do. I'm brilliant.
You are so smart.
I've got lots of ideas. So we want to show you how and where to to test the doneness of our bird.
We're also going to drain out all the hot liquids so we're not burning ourselves.
That carrot wanted to come with it.
Well, the carrot can hang out for a little while longer.
Okay.
And then you might go in here, halfway through, and you know, you're gonna have to do your best guess, or you're going to want to go right here to the joint. And you're looking for, we're at 150 and some change, 160. We're good.
The temperature is going to continue to increase and that bird is done. And when it cools, we're going to pick the meat from that bird and reserve it while we get our dumplings going. Now dumplings are lovely little science. And again, we made mention of there's 2 schools in dumplings. And if you've ever had chicken and dumplings, you're already in one school or the other. And that is either dropped or rolled dumplings, okay? We only met one chef who kind of likes them both. And
I was pretty surprised.
I don't know about that guy.
Well, he's an older guy, several kids. I think he's mellowed over the years.
He is not going to like that. I hope he doesn't see this show.
Not older. Mature?
He's distinguished.
I'm just going to let this go right here, right now, in case he sees this, yeah.
But boy, have I got black material on him.
Charming man.
Okay, so I'm going to make little dumplings because these are going to soak up liquid and the steam is going to cause them to expand. We have a leavening agent in here. They poach
better in here, actually.
You're right. Maybe I should drop it in there. Now, you can just grab some dough like this and drop it in, okay? I've had some fun just kind of shaping them. What you're going for is uniformity of size. That's really what matters here, okay? That's what's important. Now, Maggie, these are made from scratch, as we've already demonstrated.
Are you having trouble over there? I think you're better with your fingers,
I think you're right. Okay, so I'm going to...
Uniformity of size is key.
Now, we did from scratch, but as we pointed out, any old biscuit will cook in a lovely fashion in this way.
And also, usually what your mother made. My husband comes from the camp of a prepared biscuit mix to which you just add the milk, and then the important thing for the way he likes them, because he likes them rolled, anyone that likes the rolled dumplings tells you they have to be rolled out very thin.
Well, they can get very doughy and tough.
Yeah, exactly. Else they don't cook nicely all the way through.
So even though we are from the school of drop dumplings, we are going to go ahead and roll these out just to kind of tilt our hats to those who are not.
Tip our toque, as it were?
Indeed. The proverbial toque. May I have the lid? Because it's not going to cook properly if we don't catch the steam in there. So we're just going to have them rest in there for a bit.
And you're going to get ready to roll?
I'm ready
to roll?
Rock and roll, baby.
Now once the bird is ready to handle and not too hot, you want to just rip the meat, the available meat, off of the carcass. And, you know, would you pitch this carcass, Bridge?
Oh my gosh, that drives me nuts. I have a bone pile, a bone collection in my freezer at all times.
A veritable graveyard in her freezer.
And
I know not to pitch bones. This has only been simmered under the meat, mind you, for an hour or less. So if you are...
There's a lot of flavor and protein in there, and it would be criminal to throw that out. So I save all these bones.
Now, this is also a good way to serve cold poached chicken if you want a simple lunch. Lightly, this is a low carb, low fat, easy to cook, just goes in the water. And instead of going the chicken and dumpling route, you can serve cold poached chicken. However, I always prefer the unrefrigerated version so that you've poached it maybe in the morning and let it sit for an hour or less. You don't want to let it sit for a long time, right?
Indeed, James Beard, the father,
talks about.
He prefers not a refrigerated chicken too. He says that in this Beard on Birds. Can you flip that book so they can see that? That is a wonderful read.
James Beard he makes it really simple. There's an ease there's a familiarity, and it makes us feel like it doesn't have to be so intimidating.
Well, we can do it. Anybody can do it.
No.
So we prefer just
here.
My kids love to come around when I'm pulling that. Ooh, aren't those pretty? Look at how big those got. I'm going to bring that forward so we can get a good shot of that.
Now we're dropping that temp again back down to a low simmer. A hard boil here is going to cause your dumplings to break up. And that's a no-no.
Right.
And
what did we say here? 1 inch by 3 inches on this is what we kind of decided.
Thereabouts. I might even go a little thinner.
Thinner than that?
A tiny bit, yeah.
Okay.
I would. But, you know, like we said.
Can we get a good shot of that?
So.
Indeed.
Now, in several of the recipes I saw the dumplings being cooked for anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. It's going to depend on the recipe, on the size of the dumpling, on your,
The sacrificial dumpling will tell you when it's ready.
how many dumplings are in the pot. There's just so many variables, so don't trust the cooking times. I have trusted the cooking times and then opened the pot, and what looked like this suddenly has dissolved into, you know, just like
And does that
clumpy
tell you
broth.
that it's overdone?
That tells you that it's way past done.
Then you have something more akin to maybe a bread soup.
Pretty
or dumpling
much.
soup. Yes.
It's not even that nice quite. So the only way to know when they're done is to actually break one open. I can tell looking into the little break in this guy that he's still a little doughy on the inside.
Okay.
So these are going to take a minute. We're going to give them a minute, and when they're done, we're going to pull them out.
Pull them out and do these.
Okay.
Back in a flash. Well, you're back now with Tri-Spaked, and we're about out of here. Tell you what, first sign of a sniffle in the Kelly family home when we were growing up, the stock pot went on and something like this was served. And Italian penicillin, Jewish penicillin, I don't care what you call it, this is good, honest food. We want to teach you one last thing today.
Well, we mentioned that there are as many ways to prepare it as there are people to make it. But what we also need to mention is that there are, go ahead and grab that lid for me, there are as many ways to serve it as there are people to, sorry about that, as there are people to serve it. Now, some people like, as we mentioned, the dumplings, or the rolled dumplings, and some people like the drop dumplings, but everybody likes, you're going to bring out the meat here, and we're just going to serve a little bit of broth with it. Okay, this is one way, and presumably this is the way we had it as kids.
Yes,
I think. Okay.
that's exactly how we had it, with the dumplings, everything. Now, our father of American cuisine, James Beard, served it exactly as you see it here. He served the broth first, followed by the meat and the dumplings that he would carve right there. Now, this is called a beurre manier that she's mixing in there. She takes some butter, is it equal amounts
It's a
of butter and
paste.
flour?
Equal amounts.
Mix it together and chilled. And then you
Room
drop.
temp is okay, really. It
Okay.
is. I mean, they like to throw all these rolls at you, but it works just fine like this. And it has to be room temp anyway to mix them together. So
So if you want a little body as opposed to a real brothy liquid,
big body.
no, just a little body. You're gonna add some of this beurre manier. It's just flour, equal amounts, butter, and in it goes. And it doesn't cook very long.
A couple of minutes and you're going to have ready to go. This could actually use a few more minutes, but just to show you.
Et voila. Okay. So a lot of times you'll start a soup, a thick soup or a gravy with a roux, which is butter and flour. You'll cook that and add liquid. This is doing it backwards, where you start with the liquid and you add the butter and flour at the end to thicken it. And it's a lovely technique. It's very rich, very yummy. So no matter how you do it, we hope you will give it a shot. It can be cheap, easy, nutritious, all that. We'll see you next time on Twice Baked. Thanks so much for joining us. We talked about oh, the shark bites with his teeth, yeah, and he shows them pearly whites.